Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. Today I am filming a tag video and this is going to be the rapid fire book tag. This was quite a popular tag a few months ago and it died down a little bit. I hadn't seen it for a while and then I saw it on Naomi's channel, Tea Time with Naomi. She's really great. If you haven't checked her out, I'll link her video in the description. While she didn't specifically tag me, she tagged anyone that hadn't yet done this video, so I thought I'd better give it a go. The tag was originally created by Girl Reading, so I'll link that original video down below as well. I haven't looked at the questions, I'm completely unprepared, which I think is the idea of this tag, which slightly scares me as I'm usually very prepared before I film any videos. So we'll see how that goes. I believe it's also customary to time this, so I'm going to set my stopwatch going in a second. So without further ado, here's the tag. I've got the questions on my iPad, so that's why I might be looking down. Here we go. Question 1, ebook or physical book? Definitely physical book. I don't really like ebooks. I find it really difficult to read on an e-reader. Well, I use my iPad and I don't like it and I'm not spending money on a Kindle, so yeah, no, definitely physical books. Paperback or hardback? I like the look of hardbacks, but I find them quite annoying to read. Again, so paperback all the way. They're much easier, much more portable, much less likely to hurt you if you drop them on your face if you're reading when you fall asleep. Online or in-store book shopping? Okay, I buy most of my books online, but I do love in-store book shopping as well, so I'm not really going to pick one between that. There's just something about, if you've had a bad day, just something really comforting to wander around a bookshop and high-five all your favourites. Trilogies or series? Don't mind, like, no preference, I like both. Heroes or villains? I tend to go for heroes, although I like villains if they have an interesting character arc. I just like interesting characters, and I tend to prefer heroes because I prefer characters that are nice to people, but if I find the villain story interesting then I quite like them too. A book you want everyone to read? My favourite book of last year was Shatila Stories, published by Perim Press, which was written by Lebanese refugees, and so yeah, everyone should definitely read that. Recommend an underrated book? I'm assuming that has to be something different to the one from the last question, and this is difficult. An underrated book that I love? There's so many, so let's just pick one that is staring at me from my shelf. A great book I read last year is called The Sewing Machine by Natalie Fergie. It's a story about a family over two families that are linked over generations by one sewing machine, and it's really, really beautifully written. Last book you finished? I finished reading Ruin and Rising this morning, the final book in the Grisha trilogy. The last book you bought was... I bought 2 books at the same time, but only one of them has arrived so far because I bought them on Wordery, and that is Who Fears Death by Nnedi Okorafor, which I'm really excited to read. It's been on my wish list for ages, so I finally caved and bought it. Weirdest thing you've used as a bookmark? Gift tags? Like, if someone's given me a book as a gift for Christmas and I started reading it straight away and I couldn't be bothered to go and get a bookmark, I use the gift tag from the gift, or like the card that came with it. I've used train tickets, movie tickets, anything that's close to hand when a bookmark isn't. But yeah, no. Oh, and pressed flowers, actually. I've pressed flowers in the pages of books and then left them in there as bookmarks as well. Used books, yes or no? Definitely yes. I'd say it's probably, well, nowadays it's probably fairly split because I tend to buy more books new than I used to, but I'd say at least half my books, probably 3/4 of my books were bought secondhand, maybe more than that, because I used to mainly buy books from charity shops. Top 3 favourite genres? Historical fiction, fantasy, and classics, I guess. Don't know. Yeah, no, classics, yeah, like Jane Austen, Charlotte Bronte, Dickens, all that sort of crowd. Borrow or buy? Bit of both. I use the library quite a lot and I borrow a lot of books from my dad that I really need to read and give back to him, but I also do buy a lot of books. So if I can borrow it from the library, I usually will, and then it'll go on a list waiting to buy when I have a bit more money and a bit more space. Characters or plot? Definitely characters. I don't care if nothing happens in terms of plot so long as the characters are interesting. I hate books that have a lot of plot and no character development, or like I don't like the characters, so yeah, definitely characters. Long or short books? Probably long. I like really getting stuck into them, although they do take longer to read, obviously. Long or short chapters. Short chapters. Long books, short chapters, because then it feels like a much quicker read, and also it makes me more likely to keep reading it even after I probably should have gone to bed, because I'm like, oh, just the chapter's short, I'll just read one more. Whereas if I come across a long chapter, then I'm more likely to stop because I will be too tired to read the whole chapter. Name the first 3 books you think of. Well, I'm staring at a bookcase, so that's slightly cheating. Let's not stare at the bookcase. And 3 books I think of: Pride and Prejudice. It's really difficult to have bookshelves in the room, and I'm assuming that's cheating on this question. And now my mind has gone blank for any books that aren't on my shelves. I'm just going to read 3 titles from the shelf that's in front of me. And we've got The Outrun, and we've got The Mapmaker's Wife. It's difficult when you're looking at a bookshelf to film. Books that make you laugh or cry. Laugh or cry? Books that make me laugh are the Austenland books. Books that made me cry. I actually cried a little bit reading Ruin and Rising this morning. I don't know what that says about me, but when I get really invested with characters and something happens that hurts the characters that I particularly like, then I tend to get quite emotional. Our world or fictional worlds? Fictional worlds for sure, or our worlds but not quite our world, so settings that seem familiar but actually are have magical realism type stuff. Audiobooks, yes or no? Not really, because I tend to not be able to concentrate if I'm only listening to something. I don't know why, I just don't. My mind wanders and then I realise I haven't heard anything. Do you ever judge a book by its cover? Who doesn't? But actually I would say that often my instincts are right, that if I really like a cover, I'm more than likely to really like the book. And if I really, really dislike a cover, but I try and read the book anyway, it doesn't go very well. A classic example of this was The Gallows Pole, which was a Ninja book club pick last year, which the cover really freaked me out and I didn't like it, and I really did not like that book. I DNF'd it. Book to movie or book to TV adaptations? Good if they're done sensitively. It's quite fun to see how people have interpreted the book, but I don't like it if they take a lot of liberties with the plot, and I usually like to have read the book first so that I've imagined the characters for myself before I've seen them, but I also like to have not recently read the book so that it's not tarnished by the visual, by seeing it adapted, because that way I tend to appreciate both and I can separate them in my mind a little bit more so that I don't judge the TV or movie adaptation against the book. I don't feel like I'm explaining this very well. If I've just read the book and then I see the adaptation, or if I'm really familiar with the book when I see the adaptation, then I tend to dislike it more because I'm comparing it more to the book. So I like to have a little space of time between the two so that I can appreciate both. Having said that, my occasional series of book to film comparisons, I tend to, the one that I've done, I watched the film right after finishing reading the book so that I could do an accurate comparison. And finally, series or standalones? Both. I like standalones because I like that they're complete in and of themselves, and they don't leave you, they don't end, well, they sometimes end on cliffhangers and they sometimes leave you wanting more, but I like that it's a complete unit. But then I do also love series and going back to the same characters and over. I find it difficult to read a whole series in one go as well, so I tend to spread them out, and it means enjoying the same characters and events over a longer period of time. That's the end of the questions. That took me just over 10 minutes. But actually I talked quite a lot about some of the answers, so that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, it's quite a fun tag. I quite enjoyed that, apart from feeling like I was cheating because I had books in front of me when I was trying to think of names of books. That's it for today. Nice short video. I'm not going to tag anyone either because I think, again, most people have done this one by now, but if you haven't done it and you want to, then go ahead. Please have a chat to me down in the comments if you disagree with any of my answers, or if you agree with any of my answers. I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow me on my social media, that is linked in the description box below, and yeah, come back and watch more videos because I upload a couple of times a week. So anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!